Hello and welcome back to the Shed Geek Podcast. Here's a message from our 2025 studio sponsor. Let's be real. Running a shed business today isn't just about building great sheds. The industry is changing fast. We're all feeling the squeeze, competing for fewer buyers while expectations keep climbing. And yet, I hear from many of you that you are still juggling spreadsheets, clunky software, or disconnected systems. You're spending more time managing chaos than actually growing your business. That's why I want to talk to you about our studio sponsor, ShedPro. If you're not already using them, I really think you should check them out. ShedPro combines your 3D configurator, point of sale, RTO contracts, inventory, deliveries, and dealer tools all in one platform. They even integrate cleanly into our Shed Geek marketing solutions. From website lead to final delivery, you can quote, contract, collect payment, and schedule delivery in one clean workflow. No more double entries, no more back and forth chaos. Quoting is faster, orders are cleaner. And instead of chasing down paperwork, you're actually running your business. And if you mention Shed Geek, you'll get 25% off all setup fees. Check it out at shedpro.co/ShedGeek. Thank you, ShedPro, for being our studio sponsor, and honestly, for building something that helps the industry.
Welcome back to the Shed Geek Podcast. Today we will have part 2 of 2, finishing up our conversation from last week. Hope you enjoy.
That's something that so I feel like that's something that we've been able to grow up and do, but there's been some other things that we've tried to tackle ourselves that we've decided somebody else is better off to do that, Right. And so I think you have to be careful with that, because if you're not careful, you'll take on things that you're actually not as good at as somebody else is, and you'd be way better off to just pay them to do it. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, of course it does. And it just directionally, I know that you're obviously plugged in with the industry. Shannon's very plugged in with the industry. And it feels like what people are thinking these days is, well, if somebody kind of does that thing really well, I wonder if they'd be open. I wonder if they'd be open to being bought, right? To being acquired.
Sure.
And you kind of hear those, and this may be, gosh, I mean, you talk about a 10,000-foot view. This may be a broader, um, judgment on the industry, or kind of seeing where things are. But I've heard those things go in both directions, right? And I'm
Right.
sure you have too. You hear about, a manufacturer purchasing a vendor, right? Or at least floating the idea of purchasing a vendor. But then you hear the idea of vendors, right? Who are floating the idea of purchasing manufacturers, because the truth is those business lines, those lines of revenue match up so well together that it's
Right.
one of those things where you kind of see it from both sides. And, I guess um, maybe just as we sort of enter this, what I would think of as the post-COVID boom, I think most of the inventory that was coming back from that has worked its way through. Like, how do you see the next, gosh, I don't know. It's been 4 years since you were on last time. So if you were to just say here in 2029, Cord and Tyler, or Shane and Tyler, if he's back from hiatus, if you guys were to talk, like, what do you see happening in that next kind of span of time there?
Uh, I don't know that I see. I mean, obviously, I didn't see COVID coming, right?
Right.
So,
Hard to see that far into the future. That's right. That's right.
yeah, I have told our customers before, especially during the spring and the rainy season, Cord. I tell them, when we're trying to set expectations for delivery, I tell them, hey, listen, if I could predict what the weather is going to do and could control it, I wouldn't be selling storage buildings,
Right.
right? Uh, so
Right. That's
I,
right.
I don't I don't know that I don't see a huge shakeup coming in the next little while. I don't feel like. I do what I have seen here, and we alluded to this a little earlier, but some of what Better Barnes has done is diversified quite a lot, and I think I have seen some of that even in some of the other. I know I see that on the sales side. Most of our sales lots don't just sell sheds, right? I mean, most of them have carports and different things.
Auto
Carports seem to
furniture,
be common, yeah. But here
resets.
in Oklahoma, we Better Barnes is different than most manufacturers. We have two corporate owned shed sales lots, and that is 99% of our sales come from our two corporate lots. We don't have a dealer network, which is, I know, a little different than most manufacturers. Uh, but that's just the way we operate. And part of the reason we do that is because we're so diversified.
Are you ready to elevate your shed business to new heights? Your pathway to success just got a whole lot smoother with ShedSuite's innovative marketing platform. At ShedSuite, we like to think we understand the shed industry at least a little bit. And over the last 7 years, we've been building awesome software for shed businesses. We focus first on building easy-to-use software to help you create and track orders, like the point of sale and after the sale order fulfillment. And now we're excited to announce our full feature CRM. All things pre-sale, like prospecting and follow-up, all to empower your shed company to market better and sell more efficiently. Our platform empowers you with a marketing toolkit designed to amplify your online presence, engage your audience, and drive sales like never before. Enjoy the ease of conversion tracking, email marketing, centralized lead communication, and so much more. Oh, and guess what? It even comes with an iPhone and an Android app. With ShedSuite's marketing platform, crafting and deploying effective marketing campaigns is a breeze. The advanced reporting functionality allows your team to analyze real-time conversion data so you can make informed decisions and watch your business flourish. There's no better time than now to join the community of shed business owners who are scaling up with ShedSuite. It's time to turn your marketing efforts into real trackable results. Visit shedsuite.com/marketing to get pricing, explore the features, and book a demo. ShedSuite is committed to building top quality software to empower your shed business to thrive.
We have so many other products besides sheds. And so when we bring somebody on as a salesperson, I mean, a lot of you guys in the industry have brought on a shed salesperson and you have to teach them all the stuff about sheds. Well, and then you have to teach them all the stuff about carports. We also do red iron metal buildings, I mentioned earlier, and those are extremely time intensive because those are, a lot of those are 70 to $200,000 product, and so it's a project. It's not just, you don't just sell it and be done. And so that's a large portion of our revenue. And then we do shipping containers and stuff. But one product we've added in recent years here in Oklahoma, which I think Tornado Alley is moving east, so you guys look out.
Yeah, right.
But
It's definitely here already.
yeah,
Western Kentucky and Southern Illinois, we got it.
yeah.
Got it bad. Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm assuming this product exists elsewhere, but we've got a manufacturer here locally that sells a concrete safe room
Yeah.
that is an outside product, so it stands alone outside. Uh, we have found an extreme amount of success selling those.
Yeah.
And we talked earlier about rent to own, so I'm reaching back in conversation and grabbing a couple of ideas to bring along with me. But this idea of rent to own has actually changed so much of this storm shelter idea. These storm shelters are $6,000, for the cheapest ones. Well, we can rent to own those here
But
in
they're
Oklahoma.
necessary, which is
Right.
exactly what rent to own, right? It's when you need it, and
Hmm.
it's a necessary thing. You feel like you have to have it, and I would make the argument. Actually, Shannon has one of those
Yeah.
concrete sheds, concrete storm shelters,
Yeah.
freestanding, and And yeah, but you're exactly right. When the objective of the consumer is my family needs to be safe, and
Right.
I still may not be able to lay out, a cash outlay of $6,000, but that doesn't matter. It needs to be here
Right.
so that my family's safe. RTO is a fantastic avenue, right,
Hmm.
to make sure that those things happen, and I think everybody can agree with that. So yeah, absolutely. Sorry to cut you off there, Tyler.
No,
Keep
no.
you're on a roll, man.
Yeah, yeah. Be careful with me getting on a roll. I may never stop. Uh, so some of what I see in the industry is like you mentioned the furniture and the different things like that. I think the shed selling aspect of the industry has already diversified pretty significantly. A lot of the shed sellers, I was just mentioning a few things we've diversified into. We still consider ourselves to be a portable building company, right? But it's a smaller and smaller piece of our overall what we do.
Yep.
Uh, but I think you're going to see some of that. And I don't know, I can't speak to everything, but we, with our in house rent to own, we have found some other products we can rent to own along with sheds.
Yep.
And we've done the same thing with sales. We still run a little bit of our own delivery equipment. We contract a lot of that out too, but we run some of our own equipment and deliver some sheds and things. We sell shipping containers, Connex boxes, whatever you call them, all across the country. We sell those as well. And what we found is we can do all that with the same equipment we were doing sheds with, right? And so we just diversified, and it doesn't really add any aspect to the business as far as we don't have to go buy a whole lot of new equipment or anything of that nature.
Are you a dealer who sells multiple products at your shed lot? Are you tired of sifting through clunky or overcomplicated softwares to simply sell a product? If so, it's time to call Cal. Consumer Aligned Logistics is the affordable, simplified, and scalable solution for your shed, carport, or even RTO company. We are partnered with Idea Room and Shed Pro for configurators and have multiple RTO partners to choose from JMag to Heartland to Shed Geek Rentals and Scott's RTO. And if your partner isn't listed here, just ask. We are happy to add more. Give us a call at 425-359-3279 or visit calcanhelp.com. That's CALCANHELP.com.
Yep.
And so I think you'll see some more of that, especially with the smaller companies. Better Barnes is a small company. We're just right here in central Oklahoma. We're not nationwide or anything. And I think there's a lot of shed companies that are small businesses, that are small family businesses, similar to Better Barnes. And I think you'll see over the next few years some more of that divide that I expected the first time I went to the shed show and really started trying to meet people in the industry. I come back telling them here in Oklahoma at Better Barnes, I come back telling them that I really think the industry is headed toward a more stark divide between your big companies, your major players that they build sheds, or they rent to own, and they're nationwide and they're big.
Right.
And then you're going to have, in our case, it's a family business. Everybody that works there is not family, but we're a family business, right? My father-in-law and brother-in-law, and I've got two more brothers-in-laws that work in the company. And our children now, my son helps do the groundskeeping for Better Barnes, right? It's just a family business. And I think there are probably so many of those businesses out there where it's a dad and his sons, or a grandpa, dad and sons, with the daughters and wives mixed in doing this and that and something else.
Yep.
And I think that is so common in our industry across the country. And I think those people that are kind of the backbone of the industry, that you may not even know the name of their company, if you're just a casual person in the shed industry.
Right.
You may have never heard of their company, but they're the backbone of the industry. And I think a lot of those people, what you'll see is they will continue to diversify and innovate, just like we have at Better Barns, because that's the kind of people they are.
Right.
They're the kind of people that got into the shed world and developed a whole new look and model and feel to a shed and marketed it uniquely and built a loyal customer base in their 60, 100-mile radius, right? And now those customers, this is what happened at Better Barns. These people that loved what we did and who we were and our integrity, and they like to deal with somebody they can trust. They said, hey, I'm needing to build a barn. Can you guys do that? And so
Right.
I think you'll see a lot of these smaller companies continue to diversify outside of just sheds. And I think you'll see the big companies continue to mass produce sheds.
Yes,
And
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's my prediction. I don't know. That's
Well,
what I predicted a long time ago. And it seems like that divide is just getting more and more stark.
so and I'm sorry I haven't made it out to your lot. I would like to I'd like to come and see, but give me just paint the picture for me and for all the listeners. I mean, do you have these sheds and then the storm shelters and the Connex and some kind of even maybe a red iron display? I mean, can you walk a lot that has all these things where the customers can kind of tangibly see them whenever you show up to Better Barns?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So, and again, I recognize everybody doesn't have the same strategy, and that's fine. But
Sure.
the way it works at Better Barns, we have two major locations, and one of them is just south of a little town called Noble, Oklahoma. It's just a little south of Oklahoma City. For most people know where that is. And then the other one, funny enough, we live in a community called Paul's Valley. I'm sure most people have never heard of it, but it's a town of about 6,000 people. So that's where I live. Uh, our second major display location is halfway between Paul's Valley, a town of about 6,000, and a little town called Stratford, which is a town of maybe 2,000.
Right.
It's just it's rural. That's who we serve, is rural Oklahoma.
Right.
And so we don't have anything in a big population center. But when you drive up on our lots, both of our lots are about 10 acres, somewhere close to that neighborhood. Either one of our locations, you're going to have a decent display of the wooden storage buildings that this industry builds.
Right.
We have a high quality building, just like all the rest of you guys. Okay. Don't say your buildings are quality in your marketing. Just a little tip. That's what everybody else says too. And it's true. Most of them are a quality building,
Right.
but it's not a distinguishing feature. And so anyway, sorry, that was just a side note.
You're speaking my language there. Be bold and say something different. That's
Yeah.
always, that's always been my 2 cents as well.
Introducing the Challenger, the revolutionary new shed mover that's taking the industry by storm. The Challenger features a touchless design, ensuring it only makes contact at the end of the skids and the bottom of the floor joists, so rest easy knowing your gable walls will remain pristine. Worried about reliability? Fear not, the Challenger is always up for the challenge and will not overturn or scuff your shed. Harness the power of innovative wireless technology. Remotely control the Challenger via your smartphone. No cell service needed. And guess what? The cell phone remote comes standard with every Challenger at no extra cost. Featuring floating forks, a 4-directional tilting mast, and sliding weight transfer, move the shed weight precisely where you need it to get ultimate traction. With self-loading capability, straight onto your truck, say goodbye to the need for a hydraulic carriage. The Challenger makes your job easy and more efficient. Choose from 2 machine sizes, 10,000 pounds and 15,000 pounds. Perfect for any job.
Visit www.shedchallenger.com or email us at info@shedchallenger.com or call or text 828-220-3508 for more information. Experience the future of shed moving with the Challenger.
So we have some storage buildings just sitting out there, try to keep a decent display of those. We have probably the two of the largest displays of the carport type structures in Oklahoma. And we have sold for multiple companies through the years. We're with a company now that we're happy with, and they set up a really, really nice line of displays. It's really impressive to walk out on and see all the different displays, from the basic 18 by 21 to the big full blown ag barn, that's really nice and fancy. And RV covers of, 2 or 3 different types of RV covers, and, lots and lots of options, lots of enclosed stuff. And with all the different colors represented and all that stuff. So it's a really nice display. And then I told you we sell the shipping containers, so we keep a pretty good stock of those at all times on display. I didn't even try to tell you all the stuff we sell because it's.
Well, that's good though. I mean, that sounds like, and I'll have to come out there and visit you here soon.
Yeah,
because,
absolutely.
Because I want to see that and shake your hand,
Yeah.
and meet you in person. But it sounds to me like, Better Barnes is kind of exploiting that, what some people would call the rural king or the Tractor Supply type of strategy there, right? Where you really want people to have an experience, right? I mean, Rural King especially, but Tractor Supply is much the same. Is just as much about showing up, seeing what's available, seeing how those things match up with whatever solutions you're needing or sometimes not needing, right? But
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
how I have people in my family who go to Rural King just to make a lap around and see what's going on, right?
Right.
But those are good things because the point is whether you're speaking in shed terms or speaking in general consumer terms, if you have people coming out to look, then you're going to be the person that they use at some point. Now it may not be today,
Yes.
but I think that diversification in offerings, this goes all the way back to the very start of the conversation about, as far as how do you compete in those more rural markets, especially to your I think there's a lot of manufacturers out there who are very successful creating 6 or 8 shed styles and primarily selling them into primarily suburban and ex-urban markets around the country because, you can be very focused and push just a standard wood shed in your 6 or 8 styles into those markets because there's always people that are buying houses and needing those solutions. But for those of us who live in more rural parts of the country, realistically, and I would, you don't have to share the exact breakdown, but I could even presume that the bigger buildings, whether it be red iron or post frame or kind of whatever that bigger garage style, ag style building is, those could pretty easily wind up revenue wise accounting for 40-50% of a total of a total portfolio because of their price, right? So,
Yes.
um,
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense to me, strategy.
Hello, shed sellers. Let's take a moment to discuss the shed customer and meeting their expectations. I remember growing up in the neighborhood where a certain percentage of the houses had well-manicured lawns and well-manicured homes. These were the type of individuals who felt it was important to purchase a well-constructed home or vehicle or maybe equipment to help maintain the quality of the item. As shed manufacturers, we seek to provide a well-built quality shed. We want the customer to feel satisfied that their hard-earned money has been well spent on a product that will last. At LuxGuard, we believe adding high-quality rubber flooring to your line of sheds makes sense to the customer and adds value the customer can appreciate. With each year, sheds are becoming more complex. The customizations we are seeing are virtually endless. LuxGuard not only gives a complimentary aesthetic appearance for their shed, but also protects the floor from spills and keeps cleanup simple. Offer your customer the customer service they seek with LuxGuard. At LuxGuard, we are committed to delivering exceptional customer service and innovative products to help our customers achieve their goals. We strive to meet the evolving needs of the customers. To speak with one of our ready-to-serve customer product specialists, simply call 336-468-4311. To see our product and view an installation video, just visit our website at luxguard.com. LuxGuard, the floor that lasts a lifetime.
Yeah. And those big buildings that you mentioned, the profit margin on them is a little slimmer. We don't make quite as much money on as far as a percentage, but because the price tag, you end up making a nice amount.
Right.
And then I mentioned we sell those concrete safe rooms. We have some of those on display for people to see. Another thing that we do, again, it's just we have 2 locations, and so they're not exactly the same. They don't even have, like, my yard at Paul's Valley is even quite a bit more rural than my other one. And there we sell a lot of structural pipe, which is used a lot here for, pipe fencing, and then, a lot of like H-post, corner posts, that kind of thing. And so with that, we've even sold barbed wire and T-posts and some things like that, because we cater to that particular market. Here where we are in our area, there's a lot of people that come to us for those kind of things, like you said, and we're just kind of the place that you go to buy that kind of stuff. Because of our metal buildings that we put a lot of metal buildings up. And so a lot of times, some of what I'm talking about on the diversification is because we build metal buildings. A lot of times when somebody gets ready to build a metal building, they have done nothing to the location where the metal building is going to go. They're going to have a dozer out there and do dirt work. They're going to have to build a driveway in there.
Yep.
All those kind of things are going to have to happen. Well, in the course of diversification, anytime somebody's going to put a driveway in, they got to have a culvert or a tin horn, for those of you that live in Oklahoma, and they got to have one, right? And so we partnered with a company that's what they do, is sell culvert, and we have some on our location that it's just part of this whole package of serving our community. And I really think it's where it all comes back to. I mentioned about the kind of people that this industry is, and I love the people in the industry. This is my people. Okay. When I go to the shed show, I took my son with me a couple of different times, and he was, 10, 11, 12 years old. And we got in there in the expo floor, and I don't know how many people there are. There's a bunch, right?
Few thousand. Yeah, right.
Yeah. And I just turned him loose. I just let him go. and I didn't worry about him, because this is good people, and, I don't do that at the mall. I don't take him in there and turn him loose, but but the people in this industry, they're salt of the earth people, and they have a heart to serve people.
Yep.
And that's what we're still talking about, the future, what I see in the future. I think a lot of that, the values of the people of the industry to serve their community and to make people's lives better. I don't think that we diversified just so we could make more money, although I think that is a byproduct of that. But diversification was because we see a need here in our community and something we can serve and take care of people. And so we just stepped into that.
Yep.
And if you're not careful, you'll do that without counting the cost and without making sure you actually can provide that. And so that's a danger. But I think there's so many people in our industry that have that kind of a heart, that I think that more so than me thinking that those people will see an opportunity to make money, I think they'll see an opportunity to serve their neighbor.
Yep.
Because I think that's what kind of people they are.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I feel I'm not nearly as long in the tooth in the industry. I've been in for about a year, but it just feels like home to me as well.
Yeah.
I come from a little German country church, where everybody just has each other's backs and comes and helps whoever needs help fencing or whoever needs help moving cattle. You just all go and you help each other out and yeah, I agree. And on that note, Tyler, I know some of the things that are so close to your heart whenever it comes to service, your teaching, and just how important that is to you. If you don't mind, I'm sure everybody would be interested just to hear what the latest on in that side of your life is, and how what is the latest kind of mission in Tyler Mahan's personal life.
Well, so with that, I probably should have said something about this at the beginning of the episode. Honestly, I probably should have thanked uh, so many people in the industry have reached out in the last year and let me know they're praying for us or what have you. So a lot of my wife was diagnosed last year, almost a full year ago, last November, with brain cancer, and so that's been somewhat of a it's kind of sidelined me, you know, been kind of taking our focus, and so I do want to thank the people of the industry and those that are listening for your prayers and support. A lot of folks reached out, told me this, praying for us, and I really appreciate that a lot. Convinced that the prayers of the saints of God is what has got us through this time. She's doing well. As last MRI we had, it looks like there's no cancer there. That doesn't mean permanent. Those of you that wrestle with cancer, you understand that the rest of our lives, every time she has a headache, she's going to think the cancer is back. I mean, I know that's true. But she's doing well, doing very well. Seems to be not 100% recovered yet from surgery. They told her it'd take her 12 to 18 months to fully recover from that. When she come out of surgery, she had completely lost all function on her left side. Surgery was over on the right side of her brain, just totally knocked it down. Yep. But she is, she's doing well. In fact, she got back to crocheting within the last 2 or 3 weeks, was able to do some crocheting. So she was really excited about that. She loved to crochet. She's a quilter. She's a crocheter. She loves to do things with her hands, and her left hand was still pretty limited, still is somewhat limited, but it's really frustrated her, not to be able to do those things that she loved to do. But she's been able to resume some of that. So, I've been dealing with that for the last year or so. And then when we found out she had cancer, we were within a week of signing papers on a construction loan to build a house.
Oh my
and
goodness.
so, yeah. So I put everything on hold, and we started our house in May. And so, I'm working my way through building my own house. So that's taken quite a bit of my time, but.
Are you swimming in leads but struggling to close the deal? It's time to turn those leads into profits with Making Sales Simple, the ultimate sales training program designed specifically for shed sales professionals. At Making Sales Simple, we understand the challenges you face, overwhelmed by inquiries, unsure how to follow up, and missing opportunities that can boost your bottom line. Our proven techniques help you and your team master the art of connecting with customers, building trust, and closing deals like never before. Whether you're new to the industry or a seasoned pro, this training will sharpen your skills, increase your conversions, and drive your business to new heights. Don't let those leads go cold. Invest in your team's success today. Making sales simple, because every lead deserves a closer.
With all that, Cord, I've kind of had, through my experiences at Better Barns, I've had a desire to try to reach out and help some of these other companies like ours. And so I've been looking at ways to try to do that, even maybe some consulting or something of that nature, trying to reach out to some of the people in the industry that are going through some of the same kind of steps that Better Barns has went through, that maybe I could come alongside and help them, see a path forward. Just from our experience as just being a family company, because like I say, I think that's the backbone of the industry. And I think there's so many people just in the same place we are, and that we have been. And, you know, I have, as a school teacher, you mentioned that, and on that side, I've been teaching school for over 20 years, in our church's school. And I, I love teaching. It's my passion. I'm far more passionate about that than I am the shed industry, and I love the shed industry. But teaching is my passion, and I am now teaching children who are the children of former students. So I'm teaching my second generation, so that's fun.
Yeah.
You get to see the same problems just in a different face.
Right.
So that's kind of fun. But a large part of what has kept me in teaching has been a desire to see sustainability. And that to me is, I love business. I love the church. I love families. Those things are important. And I read a statistic a long time ago that I don't remember, it's 90 or 95% of family businesses fail by the third generation.
Yep.
And what I have seen, Gord, it seems like that even plays itself out in church oftentimes, and in families themselves, that a lot of times churches and families, uh, you may see grandparents that really excel in, just as, I'm not even talking business, I'm outside of business right now,
As people.
but you know, just
Yeah.
being people, you know, just being salt of the earth people. And it seems like that if we're not careful, we don't pay enough attention to that being sustainable long term. And there's things that need to be set forth. You know, we've been going through things, as I mentioned, with my father-in-law, trying to do some estate planning and some things of that nature. Because if you don't do those things on purpose, my father-in-law has been a very successful man, has done very well, but he is trying to plan for the future generations, right? That's it. That's his vision. And I think I could tell you I've had that vision for a lot of years as a school teacher, to help families continue success as families, as Christians, as business people, uh, generationally.
Yep.
And that's something I've studied for a lot of years as a teacher. And I feel like that a lot of the things I have learned apply directly from family, business, and church, all three. I think they all intermingle. And so some of my desire is to find some ways to help the people in the industry that I feel like are such good people to keep this that they've worked so hard to build and pass it to another generation, whether we're talking about the business itself or whether we're talking about just simply the family values and the things that go into that. And, you know, a lot of times, you know, I've been in church my whole life, right? So a lot of times in church, we shy away from talking about money. It's like, that's too carnal. You know, we don't want to be carnal.
Right.
But the fact is, Jesus himself, a whole lot of his parables were about money, right? And the reason for that is, as I've studied this, if you handle your business and your finances well, you're going to handle all these other things well too.
Right.
And I think there's so much of this that's just intermingled and tied together. And I've just got a desire to help other families, you know, across the industry. And they don't have to be in the shed industry, but, you know, just I'd like to help families build sustainably.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for ways to do that and trying to find some avenues to help with that.
Well, absolutely. If for the listeners who listened to last week's episode with Shannon and I, they'll probably be familiar. You know, really, that's the direction and part of the reason why Shannon wanted to be able to kind of move to the background a little bit more. You know, not totally and not forever. He'll be back on in guest spots and everything else, but part of what he wants to do at that time is be able to work more consultatively in the industry and be able to have those personal conversations that don't always necessarily have to be recorded, although there's nothing
Right.
with that. But I think that I think that I'm sure he would agree that coming along someone as respected and with as much expertise as yourself, I think that would be potentially an avenue for the two of you, as well, because I know that your hearts are very aligned on those exact things,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I will just say, Cord, Shannon and I have talked about some of those things in the past. In fact, it's funny. I just dropped a line in that first episode you talked about a rising tide lifting all boats. It's just been a philosophy of mine for a long time. Uh, I don't want to just totally redirect what we're saying, but even for a long time in my travels here in Oklahoma, I have dropped in on competitors' storage building lots and talked to the reps, give them some experience and some advice about this and that and something else in the market. Just gave them some pointers. Some of them had never heard of the Shed Business Journal when I was making circles and writing. It was the Shed Builder magazine.
that's
And
right.
so I just told them, hey, here's some Facebook groups to be a part of. We got some good Facebook groups in the industry. Here's you need to be getting the magazine, and some different things. And so even though we competed, I told them over and over, listen, I don't mind competing with you, but I'm not against you. We're I'm competing and I'm trying to reach the same customer you are, but I want you to feed your family too. There's enough for all of us to feed our families, and so I've had that feeling. And when I talked to Shannon the first time about some of that, he and I really connected in that vein. And neither one of us have done it perfectly. I don't do it perfectly, and I'm sure he'd tell you he doesn't either. But the desire is I want everybody to do an excellent job
Yep.
at serving people, serving customers, taking care of their families. So anyway, I'll let you continue. Sorry.
No, 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 absolutely. No, I'm just listening to you. I think that's exactly the message that Shannon has. I think that's the message that people heard last week. And I think you know people know where his heart is and where your heart is, and I think that I'm in total agreement. Whether it's the tide or the grow the pie versus slicing it up different way, whatever the analogy is, the industry just has so much room for continued growth that
Yes.
and friendly competition, which I think is for the most part, what happens in the industry. Salt of the earth people. I think everybody believes that they can manage to be friends and competitors at the same time. And to me, that's the sign of working in an industry where I personally, love it. Right?
Yes.
I think that's the type of business you want to be in. Um, Tyler, I'm trying to keep the spirit of Shannon. Although he's on a little bit of hiatus, I went and took one of his very he's proud of his hat collection. So I just grabbed
Yes.
one off the shelf. This is North Mountain Structures. So that's Mr. Willie Bricker, who I've actually met both on my travels. I've stopped at his lot, as well as seeing him at the Shed Expo a few weeks back. So I'm going to try and keep up this little tradition. And I should have mentioned it at the top of the show, but I'm going to try and keep Shannon in spirit by using his hat collection. And also, Tyler, I don't know if you'd be interested, but obviously, I think your expertise and your experience, and just your ability to sort of have those deep views and deep takes on the industry, while we go through the next few weeks or months while Shannon takes a step back. I don't know if you'd be interested, but man, I would like to co-host with you if that
Sure.
is something you would consider. I think that a lot of people would like to continue to hear your thoughts and your take, and it would really help me out, to be honest with you. to have that deeper knowledge, alongside.
Sure.
So, not to put you on the spot, Tyler, I'm just throwing stuff out there. Like I said, I've got no
Yeah.
supervision, so I'm running things hopefully in the right direction, you know.
Yeah, Shannon's gonna come back and say, "What'd you do to my podcast?" No, I'd love to, Cord. I think, some of this that I've talked about wanting to do in the industry, I would love to just, I love the industry and I love the people and I feel like they're my people. And so I'd love, if there's some ways I can help during this time when Shannon's trying to look at some of these other things. And I know Shannon and I have talked in the past about working together some. And so, yeah, I'd be happy to, man.
Well, I appreciate that. We will coordinate some of that offline. But Tyler, man, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for being my first solo guest here. I'm going to try and keep up with other people who stand, and have the authority that you do in the industry. To really kind of have that view and say things that need to be said, and also keep God and family and legacy and generational success, at the forefront of everything we're trying to do.
Yes.
So I appreciate it very much. Usually Shannon prays on the way out. Would you be interested in praying, Tyler? I know
Sure.
that's part of your ministry as well. So
Yeah, I can dismiss us with prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time we've had together today. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak to the people in this industry that so many of them know you so well and serve you. Thank you, God, that you've helped them and given them success. We recognize all success comes from you. Thank you for helping us in our trials and things that we go through. We ask your blessing today, God, on those that may be struggling. I know these people pulled in with me and my family as we struggled. And so I ask you, God, to do the same thing for those that maybe we don't even know we're struggling today. Ask you to let your spirit pay them a visit, touch them and help them. We ask you, God, to go with us, keep us safe. So many people in the industry driving the roads today, maybe listening to this podcast, and we ask you to keep them safe. Go with us all, we ask. Bless Shannon, Cord, and the rest of the folks at the Shed Geek. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
amen. Thank you so very much, Tyler. I look forward to seeing you, sir, and I'm gonna make my way out to Oklahoma and see that shed lot as well.
Man, come see me, Cord. It's good visiting with you, my friend.
You as well. Have a good one, Tyler.
Take care.
Thanks again, Shed Pro, for being the Shed Geeks studio sponsor for 2025. If you need any more information about Shed Pro or about Shed Geek, just reach out. You can reach us by email at info@shedgeek.com, or just go to our website, www.shedgeek.com, and submit a form with your information, and we'll be in contact right away. Thank you again for listening, as always, to today's episode of the Shed Geek Podcast. Thank you and have a blessed day.